Hi. The FDA finally did it. They finally published a guidance document specific to the eSTAR pilot program, and it's no longer a pilot program. FDA has, in the past, experimented with so many different pilot programs for submissions, trying to streamline the process, make it easier for them, and make it easier for industry. They want every submission to be very similar, and they want it to be have all the information that they required for them to do their review of a 510K submission and make sure it's adequate. But companies don't give them the information they need. So they've tried all these different pilots. They've tried different PDF solutions. They've tried non-PDF solutions. They've tried eSubmitter. They've had like 3 different versions of eSubmitter. Everybody wants an electronic submission. I just email it to the FDA and problem solved. But when you're trying to have something that's secure, so confidential information won't get lost or not arrive, you want to have a secure system that somebody can't hack and it will arrive intact. And you're trying to transfer a gigabyte or more of information to somebody. Email's not the right solution. You need an FTP site of some kind, or you need to physically send somebody a flash drive. And the drug side of the FDA and the biologic side of the FDA have switched to using electronic submissions gateways. And that's eventually where the FDA is going to go. But they needed to come up with a submission format that they wanted to use that everybody thought was okay. And for the first time ever, they actually have a format that the reviewers like enough that they think this is going to work. And it seems to be working well for the people that are submitting the eSTAR templates as part of the pilot program. Now, our company is one of the people. We weren't involved in the pilot, but we have recently submitted an eSTAR submission to the FDA, and it went right through. We haven't gotten the 510K clearance yet, but we're almost to the 60-day mark. I think that's next week. So having an eSTAR submission go through the FDA so smoothly and without a bunch of questions, without an e-copy hold, without any mix-ups at the FDA, without getting an RTA hold, I think that's progress. But it's an N of 1. So we'll see how the rest of them go. We have probably about a dozen more submissions that'll go out this year, and probably about half of them will be eSTARs. So we're going to see how that does, one versus the other technique. We're also doing third-party submissions, and the third-party reviewer that we work with also accepts the eSTARs. So if this program works as well as I think it's going to, I think we're going to be switching over to the eSTARs. The good news is we have a guidance document now. The pilot's over, so now it's mainstream, but it's a draft guidance. And there's really not a lot of detail in it either. They tried to put all the detail and answer your questions in the actual template that you use. So when you type in eSTAR, and it's all one word, E, and then they have the STAR as capital. When you type that into a Google browser and you look for the FDA eSTAR, and you'll find other eSTARs. You want an FDA eSTAR, that'll get you there. When you go to that page, it tells you about the pilot, which is now over. But down below, you'll find the templates. There's a non-IVD template that most companies will use, and then there's an IVD template for IVD products. You're going to download that as a PDF file. And it's a very unique PDF. It's protected. You can only add information in certain fields, and you can add attachments. And the great thing about the attachments is it allows you to have any file format of any size, which is fantastic. Because before, when we were doing e-copy submissions, we were limited to the size of the file. It couldn't be more than 50 megabytes. If it was more than 50 megabytes, or it was a non-PDF file like videos, or a Word document, or an Excel spreadsheet for risk analysis, if you want to provide those things, the only way you could provide it is you had to put it in a miscellaneous files folder, and you'd zip it in that folder. The other option is you would have a statistical data folder, and you would zip that into a zip file and put it in that data folder. So one of those two folders, and you had to even spell and capitalize statistical data or miscellaneous files exactly the way they had it in the e-copy guidance. Otherwise, it Sorry about that. Forgot to turn off my phone. So you have to put that information in exactly the way the FDA wants it in their e-copy guidance, or you're not going to get it. It's going to go on e-copy hold, and you're going to get an automated email back, and then you have to quickly make the changes and then send it off by FedEx again. So you pay for FedEx again and have to drive over to FedEx or have them come pick it up and go through that whole process again, and you lose another couple of days. And you also would have the RTA review process. So the FDA would say, we need to make sure that your submission has all the things that require in terms of format and content. So they have a very long checklist. It's many pages that they go through, and they have their most of the time right now we see fairly green reviewers that don't have a lot of experience reviewing that. So they're asking sometimes questions that you wouldn't expect that probably aren't relevant, or they're being very picky and reading literally instead of understanding what the intent of the requirement is for that checklist question. So we're seeing a lot more RTA holds than there probably should be. I think we have less than the average, probably around 25% of the submissions go on RTA hold if we use that pathway. But we're hoping that we eliminate that entirely and have 100% of them go through into substantial review with the new eSTAR template. So that's a plus side. We can use a PDF, and instead of creating this e-copy, we can attach any file size, any file format, and it gives us a lot of additional guidance. There's little question marks on the template. So if you're not sure how to answer that question, or you're not sure what it means, you click on the blue question mark and it pops up as a screen and tells you what it's looking for. And that's actually been helpful to us for some of the submissions that we were already doing. We have guidance for our customers. We put comments in our templates for the Word document, but now we've added additional comments in some of our templates, particularly for software in electronics, based on what we saw in the eSTAR guidance document or template. So that was really helpful to us. But now, instead of it being a pilot, now it's going to be a mainstream program, and they've released a draft guidance. It'll probably be quite some time before that draft guidance becomes a final guidance. I'm hoping that the final guidance has a lot more detail in it than the current version, and maybe some of those question marks will get embedded in the guidance document. That would be helpful to not only have it in the templates, but also have it in the guidance document, and maybe have it organized by section. And they didn't really answer very clearly the questions about what is the submission format. And I know that's going to be the number one question I get from people. People are going to contact me. They're like, I saw your video. We were preparing a 510K. We put it in the eSTAR template, and now we don't know how to submit it to the FDA. Well, it's because it's not an e-copy anymore. It says, if you read carefully in the draft guidance, that you still submit it to the FDA, to the Document Center, but they don't use the words Document Center. They just say that you're going to have to submit it on a USB flash drive or a CD to the FDA, because you can't email it and you can't submit it through an ESG, an electronic submissions gateway. So that's how you still have to submit it. But there's no e-copy validation because it doesn't meet the requirements of the e-copy. It's just a PDF file with a bunch of embedded XML code and attachments. So that's different. So that's one of the things that you have to kind of get used to. You still should have a cover letter that you print out a hard copy of, but your cover letter should be 2 pages long if you're submitting a 510K. So you've got a 2-page cover letter instead of a really long cover letter or longer document that you print out. There's no more, like we used to actually submit boxes that were 12 by 12 by 6 inches that would have a couple of binders in it for the FDA for a 510K, and that was our single copy along with the USB flash drives. Now, all we do is submit, we have everything as a FedEx envelope, and we submit a 2-page cover letter and a USB flash drive. And I'm always have like a package of USB flash drives in the drawer here so I can submit these. Sometimes the submission is big enough we need more than the small flash drives. We need a 1 gig flash drive for the larger submissions, or even bigger, particularly if a client has a video. But that's how we submit it now. So it's much simpler to submit these eSTARs. What other things are in that guidance document? The FDA has said in the pilot that there wouldn't be any RTA review. Now they've reworded things a little bit, and if you read between the lines, there is going to be a review process. But I think what they're looking for is you're not trying to game the system by submitting an incomplete submission to the FDA using the eSTAR templates. That's not going to get you all the way to the final AI response and through the substantial review. They're going to put your submission on hold if it doesn't have it complete. But this new eSTAR template actually has a section at the end of it where it tells you what sections are complete and which sections are not complete. So at the very least, you're going to have to make sure that everything is showing as complete according to the eSTAR template. So if you at least get that far, they can be confident. Well, they've attached a cover letter that was a printed cover letter. They've provided a flash drive. It meets all the requirements according to the template. So every single section is filled in. So most of this should be okay. And then they're going to look at a few other things to make sure that probably what I personally would be doing is I'd be doing a sanity check. If I'm going to go through the substantial equivalence section, I'd be wanting to make sure, did they pick a predicate that is legal? So is this a product that's been removed from the market because it was unsafe? Is the product registered right now? Is it an actual K number or did they make it up? So I'd want to make sure they actually picked a predicate that's a legal predicate. That'd be number one. Number two, I'd want to make sure that they have indication for use that are similar. That's not something that the eSTAR template can determine. It's not like Google and it can do a natural language algorithm and translate and say, yep, that's the same, or no, it's different, and here's the translation. So a reviewer is going to have to read the indications and use their guidance and training they've been given and say, yes, these two indications seem the same, or no, they don't. Kick this back to the company that submitted it. And then the third thing would be, is the technological characteristics, do they introduce any new risks or different risks that didn't exist in the predicate? That would be a big thing that I would be looking at. You can only go so far in a screening very quickly, but if the original predicate device was a passive device and the new device is an electronically powered device, we have a new risk. So that would be a glaring obvious thing. But if one's battery powered and one is plugged into the wall, they're different in theory, but they're both compliant with the electrical safety guidance documents. So I would say they can make a basic high level analysis like, yeah, this looks like it might be the same technological risk, or no, they're totally different. Another thing that they might do is they might look for specific things like, what kind of performance data did they provide? If there is a guidance document for this particular 3-letter product code, and it says you shall do a clinical study, and you didn't provide a clinical study, that would be a problem. If it said you shall provide animal testing data or performance testing data, and you didn't provide it, that would be a problem. If you were supposed to provide full test reports for biocompatibility and you didn't, that would be a problem. If you were supposed to provide a protocol for your clinical study and you didn't, that's a problem. If you didn't provide your statistical data, it's a problem. So those high level things, check them. So I could see some companies that really just ignored what the requirements are and didn't click on those question marks and make sure they answer it correctly. I could see them getting back an RTA. But for the most part, the kinds of questions we're getting, sometimes they're too picky. They're getting into the substantive review, and they really shouldn't have been kicked out at the RTA. They should have made it to the AI hold. And I think we'll see 100% of those get through to the AI hold for clients. So I'm very encouraged by the release of the draft guidance document. It was the day after my birthday. I don't know why they couldn't have done it a day earlier as birthday present to me. But September 29th, they released that. It's available on the website. I put a link down below. So if you click on the YouTube video once this posts live, you'll be able to see down below. We have a link for number one, a previous video that we had done on eSTAR. So we actually did this a while ago. For our whole team as an internal training, and we published that on our YouTube channel so people know what eSTAR guidances are, or what eSTAR templates are. And that's a very long video with a lot more detail. So click on that link for detail. We also I provided a link in there to what is going to be a blog posting on Tuesday. So I already know what the URL is. It's our website, medicaldeviceacademy.com. And then it's eSTAR draft guidance with 2 hyphens in there. And so you can click on that link and it'll take you to the blog on Tuesday. If you get our 404 page, which is also our suggestion box page, that's because I haven't posted it yet. So I have to post it live before you're going to get it. So if you click on it today, it's not there yet. You got to wait till Tuesday. And then the third link is a link to the actual draft guidance document on the FDA website. But knowing that guidance documents sometimes get moved and links get changed, I anticipate that at some point that link will be broken and no longer work. So I'm going to upload it as media also to our website, and I'm going to put in a link to that media on our website, so you'll be able to more easily access that PDF content for the draft guidance document. So I thought that would be helpful to people. I hope you actually try out the eSTAR templates. They definitely will help you in some ways, but I've been dancing around the big problem with eSTAR. The one big problem with eSTAR is that the FDA has gone another step further. The reviewers have said, give us more information, give us more summaries, summarize this for us in this section. They want you to take some of the information that would normally be in like an overview document or a summary document for a section. Like if you had a summary of biocompatibility, a summary of electrical safety, a summary of performance testing, that information that would be in there in those summary documents and we would have attached, they're asking us to actually put it in the XML document. And they did put a warning there. Don't put anything in there that you think would be confidential. Only put the confidential information in the attachments. And I think the reason for this is they want to be able to make it possible for companies to do an FOIA request without getting any of the attachments. So you can just quickly give them all the information that was in the XML file and digest it for them automatically, so they could do a streamlined FOIA request. Here's all the information. If you want any of the information, the attachments, then we have to do a review of that for confidential information and redact it. And a lot of that gets heavily redacted, if not completely redacted. So I think this might be a way of eliminating all their backlog of FOIA requests. That's my own speculation. I don't know if it's actually going to happen that way, but I see they've paved the way they could do it that way if they wanted to. So I think that's something we might see in the final version of this in the future, if they're wise. But this means they have to update the e-copy guidance. This means they have to create the final guidance for this. They're going to need to provide some more detail because it was a very thin guidance document. And I think they might want to address the FOIA comment as well. And they've actually got 2 different, really should have turned that off. Sorry about that. They really should have provided some information on the 2 different templates, because they have the IVD template and the non-IVD template. So there might be some additional need for some more guidance on that. But the last thing that we're seeing is it takes longer because they want us to put in this additional information. It's not that we just fill out Medical Device Academy's templates in Word and then attach the Word document, or convert it to a PDF and attach the PDF document. We actually have to take some of the information out of those documents from the summary sections and put them into the XML document. And those don't match up with our guidance, our summary documents, one for one. So we may need to be proactive here and actually revise some of our summary documents to more closely fit what's in the eSTAR guidance, to make it easier for us to create that populated eSTAR template. And so that's something that I'm expecting. There are also some ways to automatically populate a PDF document from another template. So we may see in the future other companies out there that are developing software systems for managing your technical files and 510K documents, those regulatory submission platforms, they may have automated tools to help you populate those tools, which would really populate the templates. That would make it really a lot better. But nobody has it yet. So I'm as soon as somebody has that one of those available, we'll be jumping on that and demoing it out and showing you what we can do. But I'm really excited to see what's possible. We have a question here from our friends at BME Life. Do you know if the intent of the eSTAR is to get rid of the e-copies, or do you expect both to be options for submissions from now on? It actually says in the guidance document that the intent, and this was always the plan of the pilot, to eliminate the e-copies and go to electronic submissions through an electronic submissions gateway. However, in the short term, you will be able to use the eSTAR or the e-copies, both, no problems. But they did say e-submitter dead, no longer valid. So you can't use the e-submitter anymore. You get to use eSTAR. So that's a big change. Number two, once they issue the final guidance document for the eSTARs, they will still allow you to ship them, and they will announce a transition period, and they expect that transition period to be at least a year. So that's telegraphing to us right up front in writing that it will be a while before the guidance document comes out. They expect that to, I think it was something like 180 days or even longer. And then once they come out with the final guidance document, then they will have a transition period of a year at least for people to still submit the old way without an electronic submissions gateway. But e-copies will be going away, but we're probably looking at about 2 years out. So our friend at BME Life, Mary Martinez, she actually does submissions for us. She's on our 510K team at Medical Device Accounting, and she has her own YouTube channel you might want to check out. But she definitely does e-copies for us, and so you'll still have to do your e-copies for the next couple of years, and so will we. But our FedEx people love us. We come by every single day practically, and so we'll definitely still have e-copies, and you can do it either way. And ESGs are probably about a year away. Now there is one exception to that for 510Ks. And the one exception is for biologic submissions. There's a very small subset of 510Ks that are for biologics, and they're for any products that are for blood components. So if you have a product that's for blood components, a device for that, and you have to submit one of the BKs, instead of a K number, you get a BK number. If you're submitting and getting a BK number, that cannot be submitted as an e-copy. They did a horrible job of announcing it. And so we had some companies that were submitting biologics ones that we were doing e-copies for. And they asked us to do an e-copy. We sent it off to them. And then we got all back these e-copy holds saying, sorry, we can't accept it this format. We're no longer accepting e-copies. It has to be submitted through an electronic submissions gateway. But one of our clients that we help out a lot, they're also a competitor, but we help them out a lot with e-copies. We do all their e-copies for them. They've been doing biologic submissions and drug submissions through the electronic submissions gateway. And so if we have any biologics clients that need help with that, we'll just send them that way. So we can help you with your submission, but or preparing the submission, but the actual electronic submissions gateway we would send to them until our team is up to speed on doing the electronic submissions gateways, which is probably about a year out. Anyway, I think that's about all I wanted to cover today. So just to summarize it for everybody, the new eSTAR PDF draft guidance document came out on September 29th. The link is below. We also have a link for the blog that will be published on Tuesday. So if you get the suggestion box page, it hasn't been published yet, but when that is published, we'll have this video embedded in the page. We will also have the media, the PDF guidance document uploaded to our website, so it'll be more easy to access, and we'll have an article in depth talking about the new guidance document. So that's what you can expect on Tuesday. And then, of course, the training that we did internally a few months ago, that is a YouTube posting on our website. So there's a link for that video as well. So you have 3 different links you can click below. And thank you very much, everybody, for taking the time to watch our live streaming video. And let me know what you want to see next week. If you like this, don't forget to like it down below. That way more people will check out this posting. And if you didn't like it, go ahead and go to our suggestion box and tell me what I need to fix, or tell me what you want to see next time. Because those go directly to me, and I make out the editorial schedule for what we're going to do next for blogs and webinars. So let me know what I should do next on the editorial schedule by filling in our suggestion box. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.